This is going to be the guide for the Operation Summer Bootcamp minigame, which in the Intense Tropical Day Summer side story, once you clear the Summer Bootcamp stage, you'll unlock the minigame. So we'll go over the general mechanics for the minigame. I'll show a bit of gameplay just to go over the basics, and then we can talk about all the different weapons plus all the different support cards. And then I'll also show a full run at the end just to show how I typically go about clearing the stage. So really, you don't have to do that much. It's pretty easy to get all the currency, I would say. But let's get into it. So starting off, we have 3 different characters to pick between. We've got Hwayoung, Arunka, and Aram. And then Aram plus the final round, where you can play as any character, won't unlock until... It doesn't say whether it's next week or the week after. It's one of those two. I'm not sure if they want us to wait an extra week or not, but eventually you'll be able to play as Aram plus do the final stage. For now, it's just Arunka and Hwayoung. So the difference between the 3 of them is that Hwayoung is a bit more of a balance type. This is her stats after upgrading, but you can see her base is 10, and then 500 HP and whatnot. But Hwayoung is a little bit in between. She's a balance type. Arunka, on the other hand, has higher item acquisition range, but she attacks slower, moves slower, and does less damage. But in exchange, besides the item acquisition range, she also has way more HP and more HP recovery per second compared to Hwayoung. You can see this is over double the amount of recovery per second, so she's very, very tanky. Aram, on the other hand, is much higher damage and higher attack speed, but she is really squishy. So pretty much it's just tank, damage, and in between. You can play whichever one you like, honestly. I don't think it really matters that much. You'll get these things, which enhance their stats. Can't actually see out here, plus 20. You can see you can get stuff that enhances all of their stats, like this is attack speed, attack, HP, crit chance, boost speed, and whatnot. Once you fill these out, it becomes pretty easy to clear, I think. But just play whoever you like the most. I go with Hwayoung because I like her the most. So let's get into Hwayoung's stage, and we can take a look. Check out the wooden sword. I hate this item, but we're just showing the basics, so I will use it. So starting off is you just kill the mobs, and they drop these little EXP crystals, which you can pick up, and you can see the EXP is going up. So we will just... well, we didn't get a drop there. Grab this, and now you have the choice between weapon cards, which they just call offensive weapons, and support cards, which are auxiliary weapons. So here, we didn't really get good rolls. I'll pick up this one. So there's 2 types of support cards. One are ones that kind of just boost your stats, and most of these can combine with a weapon to enhance the weapon. We didn't get anything to enhance the sword here. And you also have these support cards, like this one, which buff specific weapons. You can see which weapons they buff here. And then these don't combine with anything, but they are pretty powerful depending on which weapons you're using. Here on the sword, or any weapon, you'd be able to see which support cards buff it. And then we'll just take the sword. I think sword is the worst weapon in the game, but here you can see this one, the block. We can get a second weapon here, and it gets buffed by the hit watch plus the gloves. So I'll just go until the boss spawns. The base mobs, they just kind of run at you. Depending on what RNG weapon you got at the very start of the game, it can be harder to do the very start, but it's not that bad. Clear that out real quick. Okay, so here we have the beach ball, plus this is one of the stat boosting ones, increases your item acquisition range. We can just grab this one, and I'm trying to see if I can get something that combines to enhance the card. So we can talk about movement while we're waiting. WASD on your keyboard lets you move around. Your little ultimate here, which basically acts as a bomb, it just screen wipes. You can activate this with spacebar if you're playing on PC client. And then when you're selecting your cards, you can use 1, 2, and 3. And then here we still haven't gotten anything, so we'll just keep on going. And then if you're playing on your phone, of course, you can just tap and drag. This works fine. You could also click and do it. I'm using it with my mouse right now. You can just tap and drag. Here you can see the combined weapons. This just means that if you enhance the weapon to level 5, and also this support card, the stat boosting support card to level 5, you'll be able to combine the two into a stronger weapon. Let me grab this one real quick. So whether you're playing on mobile or PC, whichever movement scheme you prefer, I'll just be using WASD. So we're just gonna go until the boss spawns, which should be a couple of minutes. Generally, especially on the early waves, you can just run around and let them cluster up a bit. So here's the boss. You can see the bosses have higher HP. This first type throws swords at you. You can just dodge the sword and then come up and try to hit it a bit. Now it's dead, and it'll drop a little health potion for you. There's other types of bosses. There's one that swings a sword at you, and then one that punches you and also throws rocks at you. But that's generally the basics. You'll also have more basic mob types. I think there should be a new one showing up soon. Just for now, we just have the normal grunts. There's going to be these guys here that throw cans at you. There's also ones that throw 2 erasers at you, and then just faster versions of the little grunt mobs. But that's it for the basics, and now we can go take a look at all of the different weapons plus their combinations. So here we've got all of the 10 different weapons, plus which items they combine with to get the upgraded weapon types. There's the wooden sword, the bamboo spear, clamshell, tube, speaker, bees, water spout, beach ball, banana, and the Lego. And then on the stat boosting items, there's the roller skates, which increase your speed, shield, which increases your defense, or I think it technically reduces your damage taken. There's also the book, which increases the amount of EXP you get, energy drink, which increases your HP regen, black hole, which increases your item acquisition range, plus the heart, which increases your HP, cat paw, which increases your crit chance. And then you can see there's a couple of duplicates here, like the boot, the energy drink, and the black hole enhance 2 different weapons. So let's take a look at all of the weapons. So the wooden sword just slices in front of your character. It goes from top to bottom and only works left to right. You can't slash like above or below your character. It's only left or right of them. And you can combine this with the roller skates to make the beam sword. And this is actually probably the worst weapon in the game, because your damage actually goes down when you go from the wooden sword to the beam sword, and this is because the beam sword does fire out little waves of energy in front of your character, whichever way you're facing. But these beams don't do any damage, and the actual sword itself also does less damage. So this is probably the worst weapon in the game. I would never go for this. Next up is the bamboo spear. This one is also one that only works left or right in the direction that your character is facing, but I think it's a lot better because the damage is really, really high, first off, and I think it's a bit easier to control despite only being a stab in front of your character, because the hitbox lingers for a decent amount of time, so you can kind of stab and then just run away. Combine this with the shield to get the bamboo bouquet, which is 5 bamboo spears pretty much. There's like one like that, one like that, one like that, one like that, one like that. So it just covers a massive cone in front of your character, and combined with some of the support cards, which increase the size of the bamboo spear even more, you can cover a ton of range. I think this one's okay. There's some really broken items, like I think really the speaker and the tube kind of cover what the bamboo spear does. But the bamboo spear is really nice. I think it's fine to pick up, just especially early. It's very nice for killing bosses. But I think this one's pretty solid. Next up is the clamshell. Clamshell just fires a shell in front of your character. This has a lot of pain points, which is it only hits one thing. Both the sword and the bamboo spear pierce. They hit something and they just keep on going. The shell breaks upon hitting something, which is kind of bad because there's so many mobs on the screen. The damage is decent though. You can also combine this with the boxing gloves, which increase the amount of shells that you spit out every single time. So eventually at max, when you max out the gloves, it'll be 4 shells every single time you attack, which is pretty solid. But the big thing is when you combine it into the exploding shell, it becomes really, really good. Because suddenly you're shooting 4 bombs, and these bombs do a lot of damage because the shell does a lot of damage. It just was only single target. Now it's AoE. You can pretty much run at clusters and just blow them up. So this is actually really, really good. It just takes a little while to scale. Next up is the tube. So the tube, it spawns a little ring that goes around your character, Notably, like let's just say like this energy drink is the center of our character. The ring isn't right around your character, it's a bit further out. It's like more like around here. So anything directly next to you won't get hit by it, but stuff on the outside will. As you upgrade the tube, you'll start having more tubes. Eventually I think it's 5. And then once you max out both of these, it'll make the spiky tube, which gives you 6 tubes, and it also crits. So it's pretty much the same thing, but more damage. Doesn't really change how it works, but this is pretty solid just for clearing out tons of mobs. Once the tubes pop up, run into a group of mobs and you'll pretty much kill them all. There's also the speaker, which has a little small AoE directly around your character, and does not the highest amount of damage, but it lasts long enough that you can actually just kind of kill everything, I think. As you level it up, it'll increase in size until you get the amp, which just increases the size even more. The notable thing for this one is that you can combine it with a support item. I forgot exactly which one, but one of them increases the range of your speaker, and at that point it's pretty much covering the entire map. So the amplifier, the enhanced speaker, is pretty strong. I think it's really nice just for you pretty much just walk and everything around you dies. Only thing is its damage is low, so it's enough to kill the mobs, but on some of the bosses might take a little while to kill. But that's good enough, I think. And then we can take a look at the bees. The bees, it's pretty lackluster early, similar to Shell, but really good once you upgrade it. The bees by themselves, it just shoots out a few bees in random directions and they'll hit something and die, which I guess is pretty accurate to how bees normally work. But then once you upgrade it, they become wasps, which also explode into poison clouds when they die, and these poison clouds do a ton of damage. So anything that walks into it is just going to die. Even bosses will pretty much vaporize once they stand in the poison cloud for long enough. So while the bees aren't fantastic early, they definitely do scale super well. Next up is the water spout. And the water spout, I would say, is probably the best weapon in the game. This just summons a explosion of water that lasts for a little bit, and it will deal a ton of damage to anything that walks into it. And this sounds not great because it's RNG, but as you level this up and as you pick up some more support cards, which increase the size and the frequency of the attacks, you will have water pillar everywhere on your map. You'll have like a few on the field at all times, and they'll be big enough and you can just walk into them if you really need something to hit them. And they'll just do so much damage, they'll just wipe out everything pretty much. You can combine it with the energy drink to make the vortex, but even without the vortex, I think Water Spout by itself is one of the strongest level 5s, just without the enhanced version. What the enhanced version does is the vortex will... It's pretty much the same thing, except it has a little suction effect, so anything nearby will get sucked into it. It's nice for clearing space. Just be careful about standing next to them, because they can suck bosses in, and you might end up with the boss right on top of you. But I frequently run with Water Spout, just not enhanced. Next up is the Beach Ball. The Beach Ball fires out a few beach balls in random directions, and if they hit something, they will bounce. That includes the wall. If it hits like the edge of your screen, it'll bounce. And this is okay, I guess. At least it bounces, so it's not like a one and done kind of thing. But it is also single target. You can combine this with the heart to get the rubber ball, and this, I don't know if it's actually good, but it's definitely probably the funniest item in the game, because this is just the beach ball, but really fast. You'll have a rubber ball bouncing around your screen super fast. And while I wouldn't say this is a good support card, there is a support card that increases the speed of the rubber ball. So it starts getting very fast at some point. I have a clip of this, it's only like 15 seconds, so you can see it here. So I'm picking up the final enhancement for the spring, and you can see just how comically fast the rubber ball is bouncing around. Can't really tell how good it is, because everything else is dying to something else, but it is hitting things and bouncing around everywhere. You can also see the full range of the amplifier here. It is pretty large, pretty much covering the entire screen. And then, next up, we have the banana. The banana, you throw it out, it'll shoot out in a random direction, and then come back. The damage isn't fantastic, but you do end up sending out like 5 bananas at some point, so it's decent. You can combine this with the cat paw, make the titanium bananas, and this one is interesting because it reflects projectiles, or it blocks projectiles if it hits it, which I don't think it's actually too important, just because once you fully max out your skill tree, you kind of just face tank all the projectiles anyways. But these are decent because the bananas are piercing things, so they'll be able to deal a ton of damage to crowds no matter which direction they go. And then there is the Lego, which the Lego is just a, like, you'll drop a Lego every once in a while. Anything that walks into it takes damage and they linger for a bit. And then as you enhance it, you'll drop more Legos. Though it's not like a much wider area. It's just like a slightly wider area. Combine it with the boots to get the tacks. And then the tacks are pretty much the same thing. This one I don't like that much, just because you have to lead the mobs into it, kind of. It's a lot more annoying to use when you could just pick up like the spear or the clam or the beaker or even tube and just walk into things and kill them. So I don't like this one that much, but I don't think it's like super bad. In general though, I think you'll be fine no matter what you pick, as long as it's not sword, because sword is really bad. That's it for all the different weapon types, so let's take a look at a couple of the support cards which weren't covered here, because this only includes ones that combined with the weapons. The first up I should mention, there is one more secondary weapon, the pencil, which just increases the attack of your character. That one has no combinations for some reason. Like, we have 3 weapons that have dupe, or we have 3 support cards that have duplicate weapons. Like, they enhance 2 different weapons, but the pencil is just there. I don't know what's going on there, but not really worth picking up because the pencil doesn't enhance any weapons, of course. We've also got the secondary weapons, which affect different weapons, and you can see which weapons get affected at the bottom over here. In terms of which ones to pick, I would say it mainly depends what your primary weapons are. So you can just pick whichever ones you like the most, pretty much, depending on what your weapons are. So we'll start off with gloves. This increases the attack count of some weapons. So for the shell, instead of shooting out 1 shell, you'll shoot out 4 once the gloves hit level 5. The water spout, I don't know exactly how many, but it's not nearly as drastic of an increase as the shell, but it is a little bit more. For the speaker, this basically increases how long it lasts, technically, because your speaker is a bunch of attacks chained together, and this will basically make the duration of the speaker attack last longer because you're having more attacks tacked on at the end. And then for the block, I actually have no idea what this does because I never used the block. I would assume that this just makes you put down more blocks into each pile. So because I always try to use the water spout, and I've started using speaker a lot too, and sometimes the clam, I pretty much always end up going gloves. Next up is the special meds. This increases the size of your weapons, so your sword is larger, your spear is wider, your water spouts are larger, and then your speaker, the little AoE, will become even bigger as well. I mentioned that if you max this out with the amplifier, your size of your AoE is almost the entire screen. So definitely really strong. I think any of these weapons, please don't use the sword, but any of these 3 weapons, if you're using them, the special meds are pretty nice. I also typically end up going this if I can, because both the water spout plus the speakers benefit from it. And then these ones, we've got one that increases the attack speed of some weapons, which is the bees, the bananas, the tube, plus the sword. I guess if you're using any of these as your primary weapon, this is nice, because it increases the frequency that you attack with them, which helps a lot, especially for something like bees, which don't attack that fast. I don't really use these weapons that frequently, or I don't have them as my primary ones. We have to remember that we only have 5 slots. Let's take into account that we need some of the other support cards to even get the enhanced weapons in the first place. There's not really that much spot left for these cards, so you kind of have to pick and choose which ones you're willing to pick up, plus the RNG on whether or not you even get the card in the first place. So this could be something that you use if you want. Spring is pretty much the same thing. This is all for projectile weapons. I don't think this is really that useful. It increases the speed, but I think the frequency it comes out is a lot more important than the speed for the most part. Like, I don't really care how fast my shell is going when it's exploding and killing everything once it gets there anyways. And usually I'm just walking into enemies, so I don't like this one that much, though I did max this out for fun to use with the rubber ball. It does go very, very fast. And then this increases the duration of the weapons because like the blocks only last for a certain amount of time, plus the tube only stays out for so long, as well as the beach ball. So this makes them last a little bit longer. I don't think it's really that good just because the weapons that it enhances aren't that great. I mean, the tube is okay, but you've probably got better options to use your 5 port slots on. That's it for all of the enhancing cards. So now I'll do a full run just to show what it looks like. The oil I have is of course completely maxed out, so at the very start it'll be a bit harder. 50 of my 60 attack is coming from this tree, so you'll definitely do a lot less damage. And also the 500 HP is actually kind of important. The bosses will just kind of randomly one-shot you without this, but it's fine at the start. Just upgrade a bit and keep on going. So we got the speaker, very good start. If you don't like your start, like if you roll the sword or something, which is completely useless, you can just hit replay and try again. It doesn't take very long to reset if you care at all. Water spout, nice pickup. And then here, none of these are really things that we want. So we do have to pick up a dud here. Either the shield or the kitten paw. We'll go for the shield. I don't really care about the stat either way, whether it's damage reduction or crit chance. It's just there was a chance that I would go for spear. This is also really bad RNG. I don't care about any of these. I'm not using any of these weapons. I don't want the sword. I could honestly just... we'll just take this. I was considering picking up the sword and just never enhancing it, but... here we can do... we can pick up the clamshell. We only have 3 slots left, so one of them will be for the black hole for the speakers, and then I'll probably get something to enhance the clamshell. So unfortunately I do have 1 dead space. So we got our final weapon, which I'm just going to use the bees. Black hole enhances bees plus speakers, and then the clamshell we have to enhance with the XP book. We won't be able to fully enhance everything, so we have to pick between the frequency one or the size one, in which case the frequency one, this one, is probably just better. But we'll pick this one up first, because I think, regardless, I'd rather enhance the clam. Worst case scenario. You definitely want to focus on just filling out card slots if you can. Sometimes, of course, like I had really bad RNG, I got 2 useless weapons. But you want to hit it just because you don't want to ever, like, have the RNG chance of just not getting your thing. So I'm not going to pick this up. As I've mentioned, that water spout is pretty strong even without the enhancement. I'd much rather enhance the... I'd much rather get the frequency upgrade instead. We've got the little guys that throw things at us now. And you can see kind of just... here we go, we got the gloves. So it could be better, but at least we got most of what we want. Only thing I'm really missing is the thing that increases the size of everything. And at this point, since all of our slots are filled out, everything we roll will be guaranteed to be one of the cards that we have. So of course I do not care about the shield, nor do I care about the boots. So hopefully we do not hit those. Generally, for your movement though, you're kind of just trying to avoid everything. And then once your weapon goes active, you walk into it a bit. Like once you can just wait for the speaker to pop up. And then you can just walk into everything. You also kind of want to pick one to focus on. I'm going to focus on the speaker for now, just because it's what's been showing up. I'm going to go for the black hole first, just because that way, whether I hit the speaker or the bee, I'll at least get something maxed out. So here I'm also going to go for the book first, just because I'm pretty sure the EXP boost is marginal. I don't know what the actual number is, but I'd rather just Getting it early is technically slightly better. I don't think it matters that much though. You see kind of the issues with the clamshell. It's just it is not very good at clearing out mobs yet. These little range guys, I would say definitely try to not ignore them too much, because they can fill your screen with projectiles, which is pretty easy to tank eventually, but it is nice to just go and get rid of them. So second boss has spawned. This one, he'll charge at you sometimes, and you definitely want to not stay too close to him because of his sword swing. There he goes. There's a little sword swing. The water spout took him out though. I would also say it's pretty important that not just dodging everything, you do want to go and kill things if you can, just to actually get the EXP. I'm also tanking a lot of damage because I can with the upgrades. You might not, like, I think especially if you're just starting out and you haven't enhanced anything yet, you should be trying to avoid damage a lot more. I also have a bit of HP regen, so... When I've got the amplifier, you can see this is a much larger range, and I don't have the medicine, unfortunately, because bad RNG, but with the medicine, the range on this is absurdly large. It covers, like, down to, like, the bottom of the screen, pretty much. But this is good enough for now. And here, once this is active, you can just run straight through the crowd. Let's wait for it to show up again. We've got another new set of mobs now. These guys, they're just kind of faster versions of the base mob. They just run at you. We also have our bomb. We can just use it for fun. It just kills everything on screen. You'll see our shells are up to 3 now. I don't know where the boss is. I'm trying to find it. I hear the sword. Oh, it is. Also, the water spouts are a little bit less effective because I don't have the range increase thing. It does make them a decent bit bigger, but you can see, like, they are pretty much just spamming everywhere. You can honestly chill here for a bit once you get the enhanced speakers. The projectiles do still kind of hurt. Definitely can't do that once the bosses show up though. I think if I had the enhanced range speaker, I could probably just sit there. We've got another new mob type. These guys throw 2 erasers at you. Now we've got the exploding clams, and this is when we just kind of start walking at things. You see everything that's just dying. There's the boss. Might as well use our bomb. Another new mob type. These things also just run at you really fast. We have the toxic wasps now. You can see little poison clouds appearing. Might as well pick up the shield. Doesn't really matter because these were both kind of useless. Here the boss has showed up, so we can back up a little bit. And you can see at this point, honestly, like, once you get 2 weapons enhanced versions, or even the water spout, I don't think needs the enhanced. If you get the water spout with the appropriate support cards that boost it rather than the enhanced one, that's going to be enough for you to pretty much survive pretty easily. Like, everything is just dying. This is the new boss. He also charges at you. Ow, that hurt. He throws rocks every once in a while, and he has his little punchy attack. And we're nearing the end of the fight. There's definitely a lot of bosses that just start spawning at this point. And I think actually kind of... well, you don't have to move around, because if you stand still, the erasers typically don't hit you anyways. But, oh, we're gonna move out of that boss though. There are a lot of the eraser spammers at this point. So you can take them out if you want. I would prioritize killing the eraser spammers, honestly. Bosses also drop HP potions if you haven't noticed by now, so you can claim them after you kill each one. We've got everything maxed out at this point. Just the final rush. And that's a full clear. That is it for the actual gameplay of the minigame. There is, of course, also the summon thing, which is where your rewards are. You can only get 400 currency a week, or I would assume it's cumulative. Like, by week 4, you probably just get all of the summon coins, but it's limited 400 at the very start. That's why I have this little pop-up here. So, it's just 20 rolls pretty much at the thing. See what we get. Did not get any of the gear, so unlucky, but we'll get that eventually. And that's pretty much it for this whole thing, really. Pretty fun minigame, honestly. We'll see what happens in the elimination round. That's really the only other thing we can do. But nice and simple, not anything too hard. And I don't know, I had a lot of fun with this. Maybe I'll start picking up some other games in this genre, but that's it for this guide, and I'll see you guys next time.